Halo 3 Legendary All Skulls on. Finish the fight. Today we're on to the third game of the Halo trilogy, completing one of the hardest achievements on the game, LASO. We've done Halo Combat Evolved, we've done Halo 2, you all voted for Halo 3, so that is what we're doing today. What game should I do next? Leave me a comment down below. Today's achievement is called A Preference for Pain, with 1% of players unlocking it all together. Halo 3 has some major differences compared to Halo 2, but let's jump into it. This is going to be a good one.
Were it so easy.
A recap if you're new, LASO stands for Legendary All Skulls On. Skulls on Halo are modifiers to make the gameplay significantly harder. As I talk about the skulls throughout the campaign, I'll have the description and what they do in the bottom left hand corner so you can follow along. Some of the modifiers include double health for enemies, the human weaponry doesn't do anything against the Covenant, your energy shields will not come back unless you melee an enemy, and so on. So without further ado, let's start with Mission 1, Sierra 117. After jumping off the Forerunner ship, Master Chief falls 2 kilometers, with his armor taking majority of the impact. The Arbiter, Johnson, and fellow Marines arrive at the crash site not knowing if he survived. The first level of the Halo 3 campaign is actually one of the hardest in the entire game. The first thing you'll notice is I have no HUD. This means I have no reticle to aim with, no idea what my shield level is at, and interestingly enough, Halo 2 actually gave you more prompts of how much shields you had left. You would get audio cues. Halo 3 gives you none. No low shield noise, not even an indication you've been shot or taken damage. Just like Halo Combat Evolved and Halo 2, your energy shields will not recover normally due to the Black Eye Skull. Halo 3 has one major difference compared to the past 2 games. Halo Combat Evolved, if you melee someone, you would instantly get full shields, even without killing them. Halo 2, you actually had to kill the enemy, but you could stack multiple levels of overshield, giving you 3 times the total shields. Halo 3 is different in the way that you don't need to kill an enemy again, but the shield recharge rate isn't instant like Halo Combat Evolved. On screen now, you're watching the difference between the 3 games. This means on Halo 3, if you run up to an enemy and melee them, they'll shoot and kill you because your shield recharge time is so slow. You will also notice a majority of the enemies will be their highest level. Due to the Thunderstorm Skull, all the brutes will usually be the brute shot variants, and the grunts will always be the strongest type. The biggest difference between Halo 2 is the difficulty level. The brute shotting brutes can kill you in 1 to 2 hits, and honestly, they were the primary cause of death for both Shane and I during the campaign. The biggest strategy you'll see throughout this video is the noob combo. Plasma pistol to drop shields, and then a headshot weapon to take them out. This wasn't possible in Halo Combat Evolved, as you couldn't pick up alien weaponry. It also didn't work on Halo 2, as it wouldn't actually drop the enemy shields. Halo 3 is different in the way that a brute enemy can't actually regain shield. If you break their armor, it doesn't come back. So if you use a noob combo and drop their shields, they're permanently a one-hit kill. It's also important to note that due to the tilt skull, human weaponry has little effect on the Covenant. For example, a sniper rifle that would ordinarily take out a brute in a few shots, on Legendary has little to no effect on them. It doesn't even stun them anymore. For non-shielded enemies, you would use a BR or a carbine to take them out. And for the jackals, interestingly enough, which are one of the most annoying enemies in the game, if you can't get an easy headshot on them and you can't melee them, noob comboing them as well to make their shields go away will actually make them run away, giving you the ability to regain some shields by meleeing them to death. It's also important to keep in mind the Famine Skull significantly reduces the amount of ammo in each weapon you pick up, meaning you're going to need a lot of plasma pistols as you only get 2 to 3 shots per gun. As you progress through Sierra 117, you run into almost every single enemy in the game. Brute chieftains, jackal snipers, the brute shot gold brutes I mentioned before, shield jackals, and ultra grunts. The best thing you can do is headshot the grunts right away, noob combo the brutes, and I found even if they try to dodge, it will still hit them thankfully, which was quite a relief. One thing I did notice between Halo 3 and Halo 2 was that Bungie significantly toned down how effective the jackal snipers are. Yes, they're still annoying at times, but Halo 3, on the whole, felt a lot more balanced overall, probably because Bungie as a studio weren't crunching as hard for Halo 3. I also have to include we got very lucky in one of the hardest sections of the level, just before Johnson gets captured and you have to go and rescue him. He is supposed to run away from the Covenant through a cave. He actually got knocked off onto a higher ledge, and because he's invincible and he was distracting all of the enemies, this next area was really easy. Following on throughout the mission, you have to rescue Johnson. There's a couple brute chieftains in this area, however there's a very easy way to take them out. The gravity hammer chieftains will run right at you, and when they leap, you sidestep and backsmack them by punching them from behind. By slowly working our way through each area of Sierra 117, we got it done in about 50 minutes. Not too bad, and nowhere near as hard as I thought it was going to be.
Hey, check it out. No way. A Spartan?
For real. You better not be.
No, man, he's here. We're gonna be
Where
all
did you
right.
find him?
Napping, out back.
This brings us to Crow's Nest, the second level in the Halo 3 campaign. It's also featuring one of the silliest lines in any Halo cutscene. A Marine asks Miranda where to go for a rally point, and all she has to say is, "To war."
Ma'am, squad leaders are requesting a rally point. Where should they go?
To war.
Okay, that's cool, but where are they actually going? In any case, the first objective you have as the player is to go to the hangar because the Pelicans need to launch. Making your way there is relatively simple. I found close quarters on Halo 3 LASO to be much easier than past titles. Also, the checkpoints were fairly generous inside, meaning you could always try your luck at just straight running in and sheer brute forcing your way through. You'd be surprised at how effective this is at all LASO games. For many, they decide to sit back and kill everything, but I found that sometimes that just isn't necessary. Running through and grabbing some shields where you can save so much time. If you are doing LASO, you should at least try do this a couple times before you decide to kill all the enemies. You'll see more of this as we progress through the campaign. Once you reach the hangar, there are waves of enemies to fight off. There's plenty of plasma grenades, plasma pistols, and headshot weapons lying around, so it isn't too bad, but the biggest enemy, it turns out, is actually your own friendly Marines. Why? Because of the catch skull, they will throw indefinite grenades at the enemy, even if there's only one. Many times, Shane and I would go to melee the final enemy to get our shields back, and the Marines would grenade us both, killing us and sending us back to the last checkpoint.
I killed them all. That should be it.
Marine!
No!
I genuinely believe we died more to friendly fire from the Marines and had to do the hangar section 3 or 4 times, which is absolutely wild. Once the hangar is clear, you need to backtrack to the control center. There's a section with about 20 drones, which you can actually place a deployable cover and shoot the human turret through the cover itself, trivializing the area. We just took our time, cleared everything out with SMGs and other weapons, and we ended up with full shields by meleeing the final drone. Worked out well. The next section of Crow's Nest is one of the tougher parts of the game. It's around 10 or so brutes that you can't run by. You need to kill them. It's also when equipment, something that's new to Halo 3, starts to play a huge role in the game itself. To start, we juggled around 10 plasma pistols into the corridor leading up to the next section. This is because the Famine Skull gives us very little ammo and we'll have a lot of enemies to kill in the next section. Upon walking into the next section, however, the door will also lock behind you, meaning we need everything in the corridor beforehand. As you enter the room, you fire as many plasma pistols as you can. Each brute you EMP will go berserk and rush you, allowing you to easily pick them off. By rinse and repeating that, and with teamwork, we eventually got through the area, but the big kicker here is the regenerator and bubble shield equipment. 1. If the brute drops a bubble shield, it stops the ones behind them actually shooting us, giving us the opportunity to go for melee kills. And 2. If the brutes drop a regenerator equipment, that's a way for us to get our shields back without doing melee damage. This means we can take out the enemies so much easier. It's even better if we kill them without it dropping, as it's free shields for us. This section was just trial and error, but we got through it. Now moving on and dropping down into the barracks section, there's a trick where you can hammer launch across the gap. Because we're doing full path, visiting every area, we have to complete the barracks. Same as before, we would EMP the brutes and jackal shields, move up where we could, and funnily enough, the Marines have a lot of health, even on legendary, far more than we have, even with full shields. So we used them as fodder and a distraction, and it worked out well. We found that once we had a strategy in place, most areas became much simpler. For example, the next section, we would ride the Pelican up to melee 2 brutes, then drop down and wait for the others to drop on us. The Marines kept grenading us, so we had to get a bubble shield to block their own grenades while we took out the rest of the enemies. Once they were dead, we went up to the watchtower and grabbed 2 invisibilities. They come in very handy for the final control center section. Again, it's all about strategy. For the second to last section, we took it slow and just took out all of the enemies as they came. There was plenty of ammo, so it wasn't too bad. For the final control room section, we climbed to where the skull is that you saw me pick up at the start of the level, and then activated the active camouflage. This allowed me to drop down and arm the bomb without alerting or killing a single enemy. It's important to jump up the top as it alerts the enemies later, and you can get out of the room with your camo still intact. The final part of the level is just running to the end, not too bad, and it took us around 50 minutes again.
This place will become your tomb.
Level 3, Tsavo Highway, and this level is one big driving simulator. After the crow's nest bomb explodes, your objective is to reach the town of Voi and smash the brute blockade. Literally all I did in this level was drive through the entire thing. Drive, and drive some more. I did stop at one point when we came across some sniper jackals, and it was to give the Marine in a passenger seat a beam rifle. The range and the aimbot the Marines have when you give them a sniper is massive. Because of the I would have been your daddy skull, it increases the frequency of rare dialogue, and when I gave the Marine a beam rifle, he said this.
Take a plasma pistol.
Thank you for the shiny, pretty gun.
But by having a Marine in the vehicle, the enemies will target both you and him, halving the amount of damage you take. If the Arbiter is in the back, then that damage goes down again to 33%. A majority of Tsavo Highway is just finding the proper way to drive through the entire level. You can use the classic grav lift to jump over the gap strategy, you can drive through pipes, you can even drive up the hills to get onto the highway. The end level trigger on Tsavo Highway is to kill one shade turret and the energy shield. As I said before, it's easier sometimes to not kill everything. This is one of those circumstances. I ended up doing the end level bit solo while Shane had dinner. Once you destroy both the turret and the shield, you just need to run forward enough and the entire level ends. This probably took me about 15 minutes, a very straightforward level.
Lord Hood, we made it.
Music to my ears, Commander.
Now next up we have the Storm, the 4th level of the Halo 3 campaign. Now going into this, I know it's one of the most annoying Halo 3 levels to speedrun. I thought LASO would be better, I was wrong. The problem with this level was checkpoints. Every mission up until this point had fairly generous checkpoints. However, the Storm's first outdoor section was especially brutal. Before you get to that, there is 2 smaller indoor sections. However, you have Marines and they're all helping you, so it's not so bad. So I got to the first outdoor section. I killed 90% of the enemies. It probably took me 20 minutes solo. I completed 2 main objectives, so I killed the anti-air wraith and the other normal wraith. On my way to the next area, I got killed. It sent me all the way back to before I even entered that area. I was shocked, and more than that, I was pissed off. After that, instead of killing everything, we decided to grab 2 ghosts and literally went and hijacked both of the wraiths. We ignored every other enemy and just targeted the main objectives. You drive in with a ghost, you hijack the wraith, you melee it to death. If there was ever a time where you guys listen to me, do not bother killing everything in this section, just brute force your way through. No pun intended. A major difference between Halo 2 and Halo 3 is that on Halo 2, if you hijack an enemy and punch the driver out, you don't get shields back. Halo 3, you do. Such a good change. I'm glad Bungie did it. What this means is even if you get shot boarding the wraith, because you punch so quickly, you'll be fine. The only other pesky thing in this level, and I'm not sure why Bungie balanced it this way, is the ghost. They are Halo 2 levels of broken. I'm not kidding. Everything on Halo 3 is pretty fair, minus the ghosts. They cut through vehicle armor like nothing and can pretty much insta-kill a Spartan on foot. It's really weird because everything else in the game is fine. After you clear out the first outdoor section, you can run into this indoor area. Some drones will try ambush you, but you can just walk right past them, so it's very trivial. And the next area is the Scarab Battlefield boss fight. Firstly, you need to clear out both anti-air wraiths and other enemies. The key here is again, target the ghosts and then worry about everything else. My opening strategy I would do is on screen, and once I had this locked in and refined, very consistent. We did get super lucky. A brute chopper got stuck inside here. It broke his AI for some reason. We kept him alive and punched him whenever we needed free shields. That was lucky. After all of the enemies are dead, the very first boss fight of Halo 3, the Scarab battle begins. The Scarab can be completely skipped by driving a mongoose to this door here and clipping through the wall, but since it's full path, we are defeating the LASO Scarab. Because I've played Halo 3 for over 15 years, I know that instead of shooting the Scarab's legs out, you can take the elevator to the top of the catwalk, wait for the Scarab to come towards you, and jump straight on. I did take rockets with me, so if the brutes tried to kill me, I could just knock them off exactly like I did on Halo 2. Once you finish off the Scarab core, the Scarab will explode. Shout out to Bungie, the explosion is amazing. Finally is the last push towards the anti-air gun. There's a couple waves of brutes, some hunters, and a couple chieftains. Since you have so many Marines and even civilians helping you, it really distracts the brutes. You can get in close with a bubble shield and punch them. It wasn't too bad. For the hunters, Bungie gives you a crate of shotguns. With me standing on one side of the room and my co-op partner Shane standing on the other side, each time the hunter would turn to shoot the other person, we would shoot it in the back. I thought it was actually going to be much harder, but with good teamwork, not too bad. The best thing about this is after you kill the hunters, all of the other enemies will retreat. You get a checkpoint and you can take them out at your leisure. You EMP overcharge the brutes, and you can even do it to the jackals if you want. For the final anti-air cannon, the plasma pistol obliterates it. It only takes a couple shots and it will completely destroy the cannon. I shot it once from afar and then used my invulnerability from the chieftain to get in close and hit the final shot.
All ships, fire at will.
This is the way the world ends.
Next up is the first flood level of the game, Floodgate, and it was probably the fastest level in the run. I considered staying back and taking my time, but on my first try, I just gave it a go and ran in. To my surprise, I got through. Literally what you are watching on screen now was my first attempt. It was so fast, in fact, that we pretty much broke the par time on this level. I knew the longer you wait, the longer the flood has to get into position, and then it's almost impossible to get through. I also knew there was a regenerator equipment for us to grab, so I saved it for as long as I could and then used it when running through one of the more problematic areas that has a lot of flood. You don't get a checkpoint from about here until the end of the level, so you melee flood on your way as best you can to try and keep your shields as good as they possibly can be, and then jump into the crashed flood ship. That's pretty much the end of the level, as the ship is entirely empty of enemies. I always wondered if there was more planned for this, as it seems like Bungie ran out of time. With that said, Floodgate was done in 10 minutes, by far the fastest level in today's video.
Did you not hear? Your world is doomed. A flood armor, a grave marker, has you in its sights. Barely survived a small contamination.
Brute ships, staggered line. Shipmaster, they outnumber us 3 to 1.
Then it is an even fight.
All cruisers, fire at will.
Burn their mongrel hides.
After going through the portal, the Master Chief and the Arbiter arrive at the Ark. This is one of the longest levels of the game as you go searching for a cartographer to find out where Truth has gone. I love the desert biome in this level, and I wish Halo Infinite's campaign had more biomes. It starts with you ambushing some grunts, jackals, and brutes, but the best thing you can do here is run right to the right, take out the 2 grunts, and because of the tough luck skull, it means enemies will always evade grenades thrown at them. So if we purposely throw grenades not to kill them, but to make them jump out of the way while we walk backwards, we can just walk straight into the second area. There is 2 final jackals that will come out of the cave, but every weapon the Master Chief holds has a scariness value. If the value is high enough, say with a sniper rifle, or you get too close to the jackals, they will flee. This means we get a free melee on them, giving us both full shields entering the next area. It also gave us a checkpoint. For the next area, we did the exact same thing. Run to the left, throw grenades so the brutes will have to dodge, and then move back into position. This lets us run up the cliffside with little resistance. There is one group of enemies that comes out as you reach the top, but if you target that brute and kill him first, it'll make all the grunts flee, again giving you a free opportunity to get shields back. This leads you to the largest vehicle section of the game. You take out and clear the enemies first, and then 2 waves of prowlers will fly fly over the hill. It takes 2 rockets or 2 plasma grenades to kill everyone on board, and just like Tsavo Highway, we get a Marine in the Prowler to help share the damage. We drive as far as we can, as past as many enemies as possible, until we come across those pesky ghosts again. And let me tell ya, the instant kill power they have is insane. And unlike other Halo games, in Halo 3, if a vehicle is EMP'd, they can still shoot. So if they're still facing you, they will still kill you. By slowly progressing, we finally reach where the forward unto dawn is going to land, and with 2 choppers, we just cross map all of the enemies. We both had low shields and would have gotten destroyed if we went closer, so we targeted the AA Wraiths, the Ghosts, and the Brutes from afar. Even to this day, the forward unto dawn landing is so damn cool, one of the best things Bungie ever did. The next section is the classic tank part of every Halo game, and it's pretty chill as you can cross map everything with the main tank cannon. Tank beats Ghost, tank beats Hunter, tank beats everything, literally. The only thing I noticed is if an enemy fires a Furod gun at you, it doesn't do this in multiplayer, but it'll actually target you. The bullet will curve towards the vehicle you're driving, and I thought that was really cheeky. Once you reach the door section when everything is dead, you go and activate the bridge and make your way through the wall. This brings you to the second Scarab boss fight area, and I was low shields entering here, so I wanted to get some health from one of the grunts, and then a friendly grunt betrayed the other grunt, which I found pretty funny. For the Scarab boss fight area itself, there's wraiths, ghosts, choppers, even a phantom. But since you have 3 scorpions, it's not so bad. As long as you sit back and shoot from afar, there's very little they can do. And for the Scarab itself, if you shoot the Scarab from behind, you can literally kill it without even getting out of the tank. I will say, however, the Scarab decided to do parkour halfway through the fight, which gave me a good laugh. For the next bit, I got Shane to start walking up the spire. As the enemies spawned, I would shoot them with the tank. Now, entering the inside facility, all of the enemies are asleep. We were gonna do stealth here until the Marines yet again decided to throw grenades at everyone. In the end, it was okay, but the Catch Skull is a definite double-edged sword. Continuing your way down is exactly like the other inside sections. You headshot the grunts, you EMP the brutes, you slowly progress that way. You just take your time clearing out each and every room. This was by far the easiest part of the level. Even the camo enemies towards the end weren't too bad, as their shields are very weak. One even got stuck on a wall. For the final chieftain and the brutes, we just threw grenades and EMP'd them, headshotted the final 2 jackals, finishing one of the longest Halo 3 levels in the game.
We hit these 3 generators and the barrier will fall? A small section, yes. Good enough. Johnson, drop the chief at the first generator, then head to the 3rd. The elites will punch right down the middle.
Roger that.
Charlie, Foxtrot. Tower 1 approaches, active AAA.
Mayday! We can't control her!
Help it down! Help it down!
Brace yourselves, we're going in a little hot!
The Covenant, arguably the greatest Halo mission in the entire franchise. To me, it's the perfect balance between vehicle and infantry combat, with the story being the final battle between humanity and the Covenant, with the fate of the galaxy hanging in the balance. The start of the level, you don't actually need to kill any of the enemies, you just go for a stroll along the beach, and for some reason, the game will just say everything's been defeated. I do love how this level looks too. Halo 3, to this day, looks great, minus the face models of the Marines. For the next 5 minutes, you walk up to the first tower and you'll find it's defended by wraiths, ghosts, and a bunch of enemies. I used a laser to take out the wraith driver, but it keeps the wraith alive. I snipe the gunner out, focus some pesky sniper jackals, and then grab the ghost and quickly get into the wraith before all of the other enemies come out. This went way better than I thought it would. We got it first try. I took out the ghosts, I took out the prowlers, I took out all of the enemies who were supposed to run out of the tower. The inside of the first tower isn't so bad, as you can literally just jump up to the top, and for the brutes defending the switch, you can just use a power drain to drop all of their shields, and the final chieftain, you sidestep and melee him in the back. After that, you grab the scout hog and rush it all the way back to the beach. For the Hornet flying section, we decided to actually just hang back and use the Hornet to shoot everything from afar. There's a pelican supporting you and it's invulnerable, so it takes all of the damage while you shoot from the side. Yes, it took a bit of time, but we didn't die here. When approaching the third tower, there's 3 wraiths and a whole bunch of enemies. I knew that once those wraiths and the turrets were destroyed, Halo 3 will give you a checkpoint. So once I got that checkpoint, I literally kamikazed into the brutes to at very least kill the chieftain. All of the skull modifiers give the brute enemies double health, they're resistant to human weaponry. The one thing everything is universally weak to is splattering. You hit them with a vehicle, they will die. Once you enter the third tower, there's a bunch of drones and 2 hunters that will ambush you. I killed the drones with a Furod cannon as they all group up. Shane killed the hunters by shooting them in the back with a shotgun and then dodging their attacks. Shout out to the elites who helped us. Because of the thunderstorm skull, they also got a buff and they were super helpful.
Nice, get him! Oh, yeah! My God!
On top of the third tower, there's another wave of brutes and a chieftain. The invisible ones again have very weak shields, and thankfully, the plasma turret chieftain is very easily distracted. Once you activate the third tower, lowering the barrier's defense, High Charity slip spaces to the Ark, and the Flood are introduced. This is the first time you really fight the Flood, but in this first encounter, they're not too bad. Once you reach the outdoor area, it's the final assault on the Citadel. I took the tank and cleared out all of the enemies one by one. My co-op partner Shane was having dinner, so there really wasn't a rush. This brings us to the double scarab section, and the plan was very simple. We both grab a hornet, we both fly to each of the scarabs, we jump out, shoot the core, and pray the ghosts on the ground don't target us. Yes, we tried flying around the hornets first, shooting the backs off them, and we did kill both scarabs this way, but I got cross-mapped by one final bullet and we had to redo it. With the scarabs defeated, Guilty Spark will activate the light bridge for the final push to stop Truth. 2 things to say about this. 1, why did Miranda, with 0 armor and no backup, fly through the window leading to her death? Not a single Marine with her at her rank? I always found that a bit silly. And 2, it also has the Flood form a temporary alliance with Chief and Arbiter, showing just how insidious they really are. The fact that if the Flood wanted to, they didn't have to consume everything. It says so much about them as a faction. The Covenant's final stand is actually easier than I was expecting, as the Flood serve as fantastic distractions. The first room is mostly grunts and jackals, the second room is all brutes. We did get lucky though, and one of the brute shot brutes launched the chieftain off the edge. Once you reach Truth and you see he's been infected by Flood spores, which makes me wonder why more characters weren't infected by Flood spores. I guess it's just the plot armor. The Arbiter does his iconic line.
I am Truth, the voice of the Covenant.
So, you must be silenced.
The final part of the level, like all Flood parts of Halo 3, is straight hoofing it back the way you came all the way to the end of the corridor. Because you can one-hit kill the human and the brute Flood forms, it might have taken a couple of attempts, but when we got it, it took 2 minutes. Definitely one of my favorite levels of all time.
Replacement. The ring you destroyed.
When did you know?
Just now. But I had my hopes.
From here on out, the main enemies you verse on Halo 3 are the Flood. The second to last level, Cortana, sees you fighting through the crashed High Charity to find Cortana as she has the activation index. Just like Floodgate, we ran through a majority of the sections on this level. The brute and human Flood forms are one-hit melee kills, and there's actually plenty of active camos, bubble shields, and other equipment you can use to absorb damage and keep on moving. I did a majority of the first half of the level solo, as if my friend ran behind me, he would get shot by the enemies I've already angered. Each room has a whole bunch of Flood forms, but by far the most annoying thing in this whole level, and anyone who's played Halo 3 will back me up on this, are the Gravemind scenes where he slows you down and talks to you. It's fine for a first playthrough, but it gets so annoying to have it happen in every single room. The only benefit to this happening is while it's happening, the enemies won't attack you. By making our way through High Charity, you eventually reach Cortana, and she tells you to destroy High Charity. This was one of the more annoying parts of the game, as there are so many Flood, but also picking up weapons is buggy. I often found if I went to go pick up an active camo or a bubble shield, it wouldn't let me swap. In any case, we activate the switch to bring the pylons down, fired one single brute shot at each of them to blow them up, and then I put a deployable cover down to block gunfire, using the energy sword to get shields back if a flood form came at me. The gravity hammer and the energy sword are both melee weapons, so the Black Eye Skull will actually give you shields back if you use them. From then on, it's a little run straight to the end Pelican, so you can escape to the Halo ring to fire it and destroy the grave mine. Not a long level, but it definitely had its annoying parts.
We are aboard. Humans and elites. Will you not come with us, brother? No. This is our fight. And I will see it finished.
The final level of Halo 3's campaign is here, and it sees you landing on Installation 04B, the remade ring of the one you destroyed in the first Halo game. The goal is to reach the control room and wipe out the Flood once and for all. This level was actually challenging to begin with. Because of all the skulls, it makes the elite Flood forms very annoying to kill. They have double health, are resistant to human weaponry, and even outside of LASO, they take a lot of damage. Really, the only consistent way to kill them is with an energy sword. I was using dual plasma rifles to drop their shields, but Bungie even made it that their energy shields recharge in under a second, meaning you need to do consistent damage. We slowly cleared out every area and then double jumped our way to the top of the spire here, making every enemy spawn from every level, and they all collectively rush you while you're at the top. The strategy here is Sergeant Johnson has an unlimited Spartan laser. Because every gun we pick up has no ammo in it, we use this to take out all of the Flood. Johnson actually killed me while we were running up to the top of the control room.
Keep moving, Chief. I got your back.
Thanks, Johnson. Once the final Flood form is dead, Guilty Spark will open the door for you, leading to him betraying you almost immediately as he goes rampant. The 343 Guilty Spark boss fight, if you can even call it that, is really easy. Both of us had Spartan lasers, so you just shoot him 4 times and he explodes. But I did notice is if you throw down the auto turret equipment, which is supposed to give you a little auto turret to protect you, since Guilty Spark turns against you, the auto turret will also turn against you, and they instant kill you.
I take no pleasure in doing
What? Why'd you throw the auto sentry down?
Once you activate the ring, you need to escape to the Forward Unto Dawn, the frigate you saw land earlier in the video. You only get given assault rifles, so these elite Flood forms are especially annoying to deal with. We focus one, take his plasma rifle, and then use it on the other 2 Flood. Ammo is scarce here due to the Famine Skull, and now that we have the Sentinels also against us, they pretty much one-hit KO you if they see you. Thankfully, Bungie added 4 ghosts on Legendary for an achievement that used to grant you the special recon helmet. We used these ghosts to get all the way through all of the hallways until we reached the final hog run. My friend actually stayed back as we knew if I kept on driving, eventually it would teleport him to me. Final run itself isn't too bad. We did have low shields at one point, so we jumped out, punched a Flood carrier form, got full shields, and kept on going. The only stupid thing we did was we went to go see the grunt. It got us killed when we went to finish the level, but 10 minutes later we got back there and finished Halo 3 LASO. Hooray! This gives us the Preference of Pain achievement, and I actually really enjoyed playing through Halo 3 again. Halo 3's campaign is absolutely wonderful. It has some of my favorite cutscenes by far. Big thank you to everyone who watched up until now, and let me know down in the comments which game you want me to do next. As always, if you enjoyed, leave a like. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys later.
Hang on! Chief! If we don't make it,
We'll make it.
It's been an honor serving with you, John.